Welcome to Sunday at Mike's. I am Mike McWilliams, your host. This is a Sunday evening, to be sure, a rainy one here in Amsterdam. But wherever you are, whether the weather is good or bad, I want to say welcome to you. Morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for taking the time to show up. Time is a valuable thing, and spending a little bit of yours with me is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. As we wait for more people to join into the chat and to join into the live stream, I shall ramble on my usual preamble and check here and see how things look. Yeah, that looks good. Things are framed up very nicely. Yeah. Isn't that something? I had a plan to purchase a Greco Super Reel, as I think I shared on the last live stream. And I uh, decided to back out of that deal. Those guitars are getting to be very well known, and they are starting to collect a little bit of mojo to them in the collector's market. But it's always a good time to know when to back away from something. I really myself um have a level that I'll go to or a number that I'll go to, and I try not to go above that. And so, unfortunately, that deal fell through, but something even nicer came up. And also, hey, Michael Watts in the house. Good evening. I hope you're doing well too, sir. Welcome. Thank you so much for showing up, Michael. Always a pleasure. And I was able to pick up another guitar too. Both of these are 70s guitars. And interestingly enough, both of them are Grecos. So I picked up two 70s Grecos, but one of them is going to be a restoration job. James, how you doing, sir? Oh, I'm so glad you took the time to show up. How you doing? I'm doing fine. I'm okay. Hope you're doing well. Hope your health is well. Um, yeah, so I was able to pick up a 70s Greco. It needs restoration work on it. And I had a powwow with our local neighborhood luthier Fern about it, and we came to the agreement that we can actually do it some justice. But in the process of that, I was like, gee, there's always something on YouTube that I answer a question or at least give you a vague idea. And it just so happened that I found a video of a guy who was doing a restoration on the very same 70s Greco. And I said, fantastic. Great. I'll take a look and see what this guy did. I know what I need to do. And I've already made arrangements for it and got the parts for it as well in Japan. Um, but again, very cheaply because the yen, it's crazy the buying power that the euro has over the yen right now. But I digress. Um, and the same guitar he was doing a restoration on. Now, I know restoration work pretty well. I've done enough of it, and I have an eye for certain things that I look for when I look at people's videos, and I am really just amazed. Mr. Rogers in the house. Nice to have you here. Nice to be here, he says. Nice to have you here, sir. I'm amazed how many of these so-called restoration videos out there are really a bunch of BS. Our good friend Brad, the guitarist, has put up a couple of videos where he's calling out guys who are doing fake restorations. Rick Nelson, I love your show and being stuck inside Northern California under our heat wave. Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. I know about, I was born in Northern California, Fairfield. And I've been keeping my eye on the weather there in California. And out in Bakersfield, it hit what, 130 or something like that. It's crazy. But in Bakersfield, there's a gondola take you up into the mountains. Even in that kind of heat, if you go up, up into the mountain there, take the gondola up. It's so nice up there, but not worth the hell you have to go through to get there. So yeah, I've been keeping my eye on Cali weather. It's crazy. Here it's raining. It's rainy and cold. It's unseasonably rainy and cold. So we got that. But this guy had a guitar from '76, a Strat, a Greco Strat. Ben Allmark in the house. Welcome, sir. Everybody's here. Welcome. I'm glad you guys showed up. I have a few things to talk about tonight. And so I'm watching this restoration video, and I know this guitar. Uh, the guitar that he was doing a restoration on, 115 in Vegas. Wow, that's crazy. Although I've been in Vegas at 115, so that's that's actually kind of par for the course, but still. Ugh. The guitar that he was doing the restoration on has a three position switch on it. It wasn't until so his was it wasn't until you get into the 700 series on the Greco Strats that you get into the five position switch. So I'm looking at that. He has no knobs on. He's taken all the knobs off. It's just the scratch plate with the pickups and the parts, other parts. And I look at it when he first shows it, and I said, "Okay, that's I know what that is. That's a three position switch on that." And he goes through the process of cleaning the knobs, but if you go, that he didn't show. I don't know where these knobs came from that he's cleaning, but they're clearly brand new knobs. And if you get to the end of the video, after he's done the restoration on this thing, it's a five position switch on it. And you're not going to be, unless you cut the plate and do some things to make that work, it's just not going to work. So, you know, it's a refurbished video, I guess you could call it, but that's not a restoration. A restoration is really trying to find the original parts as close as possible or reusing the original parts. Maddie Two Hats in the house. Hey, welcome, sir. How you doing? And you know, it's just it's in it just kind of irked me slightly because it made it seem that the end result was taking old parts and doing a little bit of buffing and cleaning on them in order to make it suddenly look like showroom new. and and I was like, oh no, that's a new, completely new pick guard, the knobs and everything else. Now he did show himself um, polishing the metal parts, and I have a tool that does that. So if you've got rusty metal parts, you can use this. Of course, you take the parts out and you can work this over it, taking those rusty bits out. And he did that. He had a similar tool that did that. So I'll give him points on that. But it still looked like a brand new bridge. It did not look like the original bridge at the end. The point is that restoration work and these videos, these so-called restoration videos that are really BS, are kind of a detriment, in my opinion, out there, because somebody who doesn't know, what I know, and hey, that's not right. Hey, that's a switcheroo, because I know these guitars very well. Would be fooled and may not be happy with their results if they try to do the same things that that person did, which they really didn't do, if you follow what I mean. So, which leads into our next subject. Well, okay, Mike, we agree with you. Where are you going with this? Well, I'm talking about deceptive practices tonight on YouTube and in the general market. So tonight's title is BS restoration videos, and Chipsons are better than Yamahas. You know, um, I mentioned last week that I have seen a resurgence of Chipson videos on YouTube. And um, with the passing of Mike, China Guitar Skeptic channel, when he passed away, he was really leaning on folks and leaning on the subject and really educating. He's the one who really educated me. He's the one who really brought the points to light as to why they are what they are. Why they're not great and less than great. But since his passing, there hasn't really been that voice out there. So, in honor of Mike, every now and then, I thought that I would take up the torch and talk about Chipsons because there really has been, and I don't know why they get in my feed that I'm the wrong person because I'm going on there and I'm going to be making some comments down in the comment section. Believe me, not negative ones, not mean ones, but just facts. Like you need to stab fake on the back of that headstock and you need to make sure that everybody knows in your family that it's not real, and take those kind of precautions and try not to sell that at all, to be honest, because that's diluting the market out there and hurting the secondary market also. It's when you have more of something, then that can dictate prices, artificially drive them down, and so it's unfair to people who are selling them too for a lot of reasons. But it was the restoration video, believe it or not, that triggered this kind of train of thought, how one led to another. Like, that's some bullshit. By the way, usually I try to keep a PG rated live stream. This is not that one tonight. I may slip off an F bomb here and there just to drive my point home. But the restoration videos that a lot of guys have called out, I'm calling that one out as well. This doesn't matter, it is what it is. 75,000 people have seen it. It's got 75K views on it, and they're all been, to my opinion, misled. But they're out there, and I just don't. I guess 75K views gives you a little bit of money, but I just don't understand, the why traffic and misinformation and deception. I don't understand that. But with the Chipson thing, I decided, let me look at this and play devil's advocate tonight. Let me flip a little bit. Instead of getting into the negative aspects, let me try to write something tonight, write a script that basically took a more genial look at Chipsons and maybe the more positive aspects of them and really step outside of myself, my personal opinions on them, and try to find if there's anything really good in that. I thought long and hard, and I and I read quite a few people's posts regarding them and trying to get the general feeling out there in 2024 about Chipsons. And there's been countless debates in the guitar community regarding these things. Chipsons or fake Gibson guitars, are they really as bad as some people say? Or are they a hidden gem in disguise? Again, guys, playing devil's advocate here tonight. Let's find out. Somebody the other day saw me drinking orange juice and thought I was having a screwdriver. He cracked me up. He said, having that screwdriver there, huh? I didn't even think about that. I could do that now. Not a drinker, as you guys know. This is actually Coca Cola. So let's start with the basics. What exact, again, for the novice person out there who doesn't know? Hey, hello, Sunbase. How you doing, brother? Welcome. Hello. talking about. I'm trying to play devil's advocate tonight and put a positive spin on Chipsons. But let's start out what exactly a Chipson is. Essentially, a Chipson is a counterfeit Gibson guitar. End of the day, that's what it is. These guitars are primarily manufactured in China and are designed to look like genuine Gibsons, often sporting the same logos and design features. Now, I'm going to talk about that too. Um, Now, the term Chipson is a bit of a buzzword, as we know, especially on forums and YouTube channels dedicated to us guitar enthusiasts. Again, us in our little clique of guitar enthusiasts on YouTube. Um, and the debates swing on either side. I think I've made it very clear that I'm anti Chipsons. Um, but is it really such a big deal? And maybe, Mike, are you making a big deal out of it? Let's see. Let's unpack that. Now, the main argument against Chipson really revolves around the ethical and quality aspects. That's really what it boils down to. It's the ethical aspects of it, and even if you can put your ethics aside, somehow your morals aside, and look at the quality aspects of it, that's where there is some arguments. Um, on the ethical side, we're talking about intellectual property theft. I razz Gibson all the time. I've had a few choice words for Epiphone, but in no way, shape, or form do I believe in the intellectual property theft um, that Chipsons represent. Now, you're going to say, hey, Mike, you got a lot of Japanese guitars that have aspects, trademark aspects. And the answer is yes. But Gibson made deals with a lot of the companies that not a lot, all the companies that manufacture these guitars and did licensing with them. And in the cases where they didn't, and it was a domestic only thing, it was still something that Gibson was giving the green light on. As a matter of fact, it helped them. As a matter of fact, it was argued in a court of law with Fernandez versus Gibson when it came to the headstock. The judge said, hey, in a way, these guys are helping you because if I'm a beginner, I can get this and it looks like this. And, and I'm sure that the consumer can tell the difference between the two and it may lead the consumer up to you. So even a judge in the Tokyo court felt that way about it. So there's a big difference there. So let's get that aside. Did somebody say something there? Don Juan in the house. Hello. Doing well, sir. Doing well. Hope you are fine. Playing devil's advocate here, but I'm giving a little bit of background for those who listen to the live stream later on in the rerun, and those who may not be in the know about what a Chipson is, who we're talking about. Now, this is intellectual property theft. Now, these guitars are essentially rip off authentic guitar models, and they're just rip offs, and they're selling them as genuine, and that could be considered fraudulent. As I've told you before, hey, thumbs up to you too, Domo. As I've told you before, I've been in shops in Southern California, guys who were Gibson dealers, or they certainly had a lot of secondhand Gibsons, and they were also selling Chipsons, and I knew it, and they knew it. And I got sold a guitar once that I ran later on. Thank goodness I ran the serial numbers on with the database, and it wasn't matching up to what the guitar was. So I took it back. I never shared that story. Um, it was a quick minor thing, and they were cool with it, and it wasn't a big deal. But I don't know if that was a Chipson. I don't know if that was a mix-up. I don't know what the deal was, but I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And that's what Chipsons represent because they take serial numbers from real guitars, they put them on the back of the headstocks there, and for the unsuspecting, you know, it's off to the races. On the quality side, Chipsons are often produced with cheaper materials and may lack the craftsmanship of a genuine Gibson, leading to potential issues with sound quality, durability, and playability. Yeah, with the one guy, like I said, his argument back to me in the chat down in his video, because I responded politely again, and he responded back to me politely. And so I appreciate that, his politeness, back and forth conversation between me and him. But he was talking about a quality issue, and I said, no, no, no. You can't equate. He was equating Epiphones to Chipsons, and I said, no, all contraire, mon frere, because again, um, that they're making Epiphones and then shipping them out the back door as Chipsons. You know, Chinese whisper, excuse the pun, that's been going around is completely untrue. That's not true. That doesn't happen. What you guys have is people who are stealing the moldings, are getting close to source copies of the moldings and recreating these things. That's completely different. Um, and so again, and the materials that they're using, they're not going to source very high quality of anything. It's going to be a race, the cheapest way to put this thing together to make it look as good as possible. Look, it's like you guys don't believe me. They make fake eggs in China. Got a yellow yolk on the inside. It's got a hard shell. Crack it open. It looks like an egg, but it's nothing in it is organic. I mean, not organic. Nothing in it is from a chicken. And the Chipsons are the equivalent of that. If you crack that Chipson open, take those pickups out, look in those routings, see the sawdust coming out, see the frayed routings. Hey, I thought I was supposed to be playing devil's advocate here. Okay, sorry, I got too much into it. Yeah, it's like a fake. Mad Two Hats is like a fake Rolex. Yeah, fake eggs, fake Rolexes, fake. The word is fake. You know. So there's that. The materials, like I said, and he was comparing it to Epiphones, and I said no, the wood quality there is quite different. Again, with the Chipson maker, he's trying to make it as cheaply as possible. Epiphone has certain woods and standards that they have to keep to because it comes from the head office down. But here's the thing: many guitarists argue that Chipsons can be a great deal if you know what you're getting into. For a fraction of the price, you might get a guitar that looks and feels similar to a high-end Gibson. Again, I hate that you put that Rolex, analogy out there because it's the same thing. You're sitting there like, oh, this is, it looks like a Rolex. It's got Rolex on the dial. Eh, eh. Anyway, again, I try to write this playing devil's advocate. So after looking into these, I ran into an article where a guy bought a Seafoam HSH Strat, Fender Strat. So it's not a Chipson in this case, it'd be a Fibson. No, we'll have a Fender. I don't even know what you would call that. I was genuinely surprised, he said, by the overall quality. So these are quotes from him that I took out. He said the finish was superb, straight out of the box, it played quite well. And he said he sold it for a modest profit. And that's where I once again said, okay, did you tell the guy you sold it to that it was a fake? Did you stamp fake on the back of it so the guy that you sold it to can't sell it to somebody else, even though you told him he doesn't have to tell somebody else? See, even in trying to play devil's advocate, when I was researching and pulling these quotes out, I came across stuff that just infuriated me and proved my point about these things. They get out there into the wild, and it's just not good. Sorry, Mark. Continue with your yeah, man, because you were too spot on with that one. So he goes on ranting about the overall quality and he sold it for a modest profit. Well, good for you. Good for you. Now, because of this, the market for Chipsons is quite diverse. Many buyers are experienced guitarists who understand what they're getting for the most part that I saw. A lot of these guys, they own, some of the guys, all they own is Gibson. They're like, I'm not going to give those Gibson guys my money. I'm just going to buy Chipsons. Well, who are you giving your money to? Yeah, the Chinese government. Anyway. I never understood the logic of that argument. Anyway, um, now the guys say that they are not expecting a flawless instrument, but they see the potential in these guitars, especially for modding. Most people get it in, and then they start modding out. They'll improve the routes, uh, maybe do a complete rewire. Change some things, but basically they just wanted the husk with a neck on it that says Fender or Gibson. That's generally what I've seen. And then again, if it's because you want a Les Paul, but you don't want to give money to Gibson and you want to do it cheaply, but again, I'm supposed to be playing devil's advocate. I will remind you that it is highly illegal. And if you get caught, it is a $30,000 fine. No, I'm sorry, $30,000 fine, 6 months in jail because it's counterfeiting, it's importing. So when you bring that to your house, hey, 5, 6 times, it may have worked out great, but that's rolling the dice a lot on that. And if they decide to stop it, take a look at it, they're going to have some questions. And then they can come in your house and they can take a look at the other ones and they start asking questions. And Mr. I sold it for a modest profit. Oh, I sold it to a buddy. Oh, you sold a counterfeit guitar to another guy? You see? I know I'm supposed to be playing devil's advocate. But again, I'm pulling quotes off. I was going through this today, pulling quotes from guys who love these things, and I tried to understand their point of view. But geez, Lees, on platforms like AliExpress and various e-commerce sites, you can find a wide range of Gibson models. I looked at them today. I saw quite a few of them, and they all looked shit to me. If again looking deeper, looking at where the binding and the headstock and that thickness and how it just overlaps poorly, the poorness of the edge binding, the lack of edge binding on some of them. Actually, they're supposed to be Les Pauls, but they had no fret binding. A lot of stuff there, but it's crucial to remember that these guitars are often sold at significantly lower price points, which was a reflection of their quality, in my opinion, and the manufacturing origin as it stands. Now let's talk about that quality a little bit deeper. Not all Chipsons are created equal. I will give you that. The initial quality may not be perfect, but some basic adjustments and a bit of TLC, of course. I could see how you could transform one of those into a pretty sweet axe. Many of the Chipsons that I saw were Les Paul Standards, 335s, and the pictures and stuff that I saw and the YouTube guys that had them, some of them look pretty good. I'm not going to take that away. Some of them looked okay. It's like, again, like I said, it's when you look under that hood or look a little closer that you start to see things. But okay, they're not perfect. But they're certainly not the disasters that some would have you believe. There is that other end of, oh, it's going to be, rat hole or dead rat bones are going to fall out of the cavity when you open up the pickup cover, or what I hear, the wiring is made of toxic materials, which that actually may be true. Let's not even talk about the fact there's no EPA standards. So there may be some lead toxicity involved in the frets. Those frets may be just not good for you. That's the number one place that I always worry about is the frets and a lot of other stuff. I'm sorry, devil's advocate. I remember. I'm getting back to it. Um, One important aspect to consider is the legality and ethical implications of buying and selling Chipsons. Counterfeit goods are illegal, and importing them can lead to fines or legal issues. However, and moreover, sorry, selling them as genuine Gibsons is outright fraud, or a genuine Les Paul. I'm sorry, Fender. Outright fraud. Any way you dice it up, any way you slice it up, you're committing fraud. Now, I'm actually going somewhere tonight with all of this. I want to make an even bigger point. So, if you're thinking about buying a chips, and make sure you're aware of these risks and always be honest when you're selling. That's all I ask. Just be honest when you're selling. Sunbase. It's hard to do proper binding on a quality guitar, much as that's it's always going to be the binding. Like I said, it's always that's where you always it's the first place you look. Boys and girls, if you ever are looking at something you're not sure, look at the binding work. They always screw up because yeah, I've had Gibsons I said where the fret nibs were getting caught, the strings were getting caught in the fret binding, fret nibs. And I hated that, especially when there's contraction of the wood, and things like that that were occurring. And that's why I prefer uh, Les Pauls that don't have fret nibs on it, but that's another thing. Um, but that's where you can really see first. One of the big first telltale signs is the binding. As global manufacturing evolves, the line between authentic and counterfeit can and has blurred. Talked about that. Authentic in the sense that it is either made by the manufacturer that's being counterfeited or licensed um, by the said company. Either that or it's a counterfeit. But sometimes that stuff blurs, especially when you talk about the Japanese guitars, especially the lawsuit guitars. But as I pointed out, uh, in every case, the companies that were producing the lawsuit guitars later went on to produce Fenders and Gibsons. Ain't nobody asking the Chipson guys to be doing that. It's not gonna happen. The Chipson guys got a new contract to produce the new line of Gibson China guitars. No, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen because the companies Fujigen and the guitar manufacturers in Matsumoto were quite well established. They were dedicated and serious, and they had pride in their work. And I'm guaranteeing you that there ain't much pride in the Gibson work. But this line between authentic and counterfeit can blur. Many major brands, including Gibson and Fender, are producing parts or even entire instruments in China and other countries with lower manufacturing costs. So, therefore, like I said, that's how you can get a Squire bridge. This is but it's not made by Fender Squire. This is a copy, but it is an exact copy of a Squire bridge that you would find on any of the current Squire Strats. So that's where there's gets to be a little bit of gray area. Now, okay, the key takeaway here is that not all Chinese made guitars are of poor quality. Epiphones are not of poor quality. We know this. And it's not necessarily all playing devil's advocate, uh, it'd be fair to state that not all Chipsons are bad guitars or poor quality. With proper specifications and quality control, you get fantastic instruments at a fraction of the cost, which is what's being produced in Epiphone China. Again, the Chipson boys, not so much there. But are Chipsons really that bad? I guess at the end, it depends upon your expectations and your intentions. So, this is where I was able to step back and say, okay, under this criteria in my mind, okay, what are your expectations and what are your intentions? And both of these address the moral issues and the quality issues that I talked about before. If you're looking for a budget friendly guitar that you can tweak and customize, a Chipson might be worth a try. But if you're after an authentic Gibson experience, you're better off saving up for the real deal. Or again, if you're like, I don't want to give those guys that money, I don't want to do that. There are other alternatives. Now, I have brought out the Lord Player. So this is a 1985 Yamaha Lord Player. And with, again, the Gibson USA standard headstock on it. This was for domestic Japan only. And later on, the guys that made this guitar were making the Orville by Gibson and the Epiphone line guitars. So again, this is, like I said, that gray area that I mentioned there, as far as between authentic and counterfeit. But this swings more on the authentic side again, like I said, because Gibson liked the work that these guys did so much that they said, we want you to produce our guitars in Japan. They will not say that to the Chipson guys in China, the Chipson boys. And I'll tell you, having been to China and seen some of the out in the villages, out seeing some of those manufacturing garages and quality control, EPA control, all the things that went into producing this guitar are not there. And how will it hold up in the long run? This is a 1985, the year I graduated from high school. As I pointed out, this guitar has held up a whole hell of a lot better than I have in that time. And if it gets to the price point, for whatever you're spending on that Chipson, you can get yourself one of these, and then you can go and do your mods to it, and you've got a legit guitar. You don't have to worry about customs or busting you. And if something happens to you, God forbidding, and your significant other has to sell it, guess what? The dealer knows what these are, and you're doing them a favor. If they need the money and they take it in, to bury your ass, and they're counting on those Chipsons to come up with the funeral expenses, well, buddy, it's gonna be a sad one. Well, I guess we'll have to dump Billy Joe Bob out in the river at midnight. Just let him float down. We'll put a candle on his chest and make it a Viking funeral. So um, there's cheaper alternatives like that. You're not going to tell me that a Chipson is better than this Yamaha that can be had. It's not a Gibson. Sure does look like it. Um, has everything on it that you would get out of a Chipson, and you're not dicking around with legalities. Sunbase for a good Les Paul style guitar, the old Aria Pro 2 Black. Yeah, I was looking at Aria Pro 2 actually the other day. And Gold Single Cutaway from the early 80s are great playing guitars. I was looking at that today, actually, funny enough. Um, yeah, yeah. I again, so I'm done playing devil's advocate. I tried there. I wrote this out. Um, it's crucial to do your homework, buy from reputable sources, always be upfront about it when you're selling it. And at the end of the day, guitar is about making music, and a good player can make any guitar sound amazing. I wrote that, and playing, trying to be positive, put a positive spin at the end. Now we're done. Now we're back to what the fuck are you thinking? Seriously. Um, uh, if you're buying a Chipson, let's be honest, you're buying it because you're too cheap to buy a real Les Paul for whatever reasons, whatever justifications you have. That's the first thing, because there's too many alternatives out there on the market to, that negates the argument that I don't want to give money to Gibson. Okay, give it to Yamaha, give Aria Pro 2, give it to Greco, give it to whoever. Help the secondary market out instead of by putting pollution in with your fake crap, by keeping it moving by buying some of the older guitars. Hey, maybe do something positive with that money, as opposed to taking that money and sending it over to the communist Chinese government, who quite frankly would like to see you finished. Let's look at it on that level as well. What the fuck are you thinking buying a Chipson? So if that's me not being nice, because I can't be nice about it, because there's no justification other than the fact it comes down at the end of the day, because there's so many alternatives out there. No, you're that guy who has to be too cheap to buy a real Gibson. You gotta buy a fake one from China. And does it make you feel good? You gotta somehow inside yourself, oh boy, this looks great, but you know it's fake. You know it's fake. You know it. Can you lie to yourself so much that you're happy with it? Oh, well, I got over, or this is better than Yamaha. You think a Chipson is better than this 1985 Yamaha? Not even. Not even. Not even close. Even if you mod it out, it's not going to be better than this. For the real test, Sunbase says, lean the Chipson against you and let it slip and fall. Does the headstock stop as easy as the real thing? Yeah, just I know you're being facetious there, but it's just so many things, man. There's so many qualifiers there that are negative, and I just, what are you thinking? I really just gets back to that. I understand why Mike dedicated over a decade on this channel. God rest his soul. God rest his soul. Trying to expose and talk about these things and give very sound arguments. So much so to the fact that even then, if you're buying a chips and you're doing it knowing what you're doing. If the full weight of the law comes down on you, I feel sorry for that, but you set yourself up for that. And any ridicule that you get from cats like me, you set yourself up for that, because you're doing the wrong thing. There's nothing right about that. It's so wrong in so many ways. It's so wrong in so many ways. Chipsons are like light beer or dancing with your sister. Some things are not quite right. Maddie with the winner tonight for cracking Mike up. Oh boy, that was a good one. I like that one. Dancing with your sister. Yeah, man, dig that. Um, you know, uh, there we go. It's just too funny. Just too funny. Yeah, it's like dancing with your sister, man. and you're really not doing yourself any kind of favors. So I tried to play devil's advocate. I really tried, guys. I honestly tried. I sat down this afternoon because I didn't film any. I was going to film this weekend, but quite frankly, I just said I don't feel like it. I really we got a good weather on Saturday. I took my dog to the park, and I think that was time better spent. I can film the guitars coming up this week, uh, but I then came in and sat down and started writing the script for tonight. And I said, I'm going to try to look at whatever positive aspects of these Chibsons I can find. And that's what I came up with. But quite frankly, no, it's the best I could do. And it was a poor job at that because I couldn't even convince myself. I was trying to. The best thing that I could come up again is with first. What did I say? Expectations and intentions. Expectations and intentions. It sounds like something one of my college professors used to say. Expectations and intentions. Yeah, and I would have low expectations, and I think that you're of no good intentions. I think low expectations and no good intentions is basically what the sauce of a chipsin is made up of. And so I cannot condone nor say anything too positive about them other than what I've said here. If you're honest and you stamp fake on the back of it and you don't sell it. Don't buy it and say, I'm going to sell it on later on, make a profit off of that. That really makes you sound like a complete dick. It is not an impressive statement. I got a fake guitar from China, a potential enemy country. And then I sold that fake guitar to another person for a profit. Did I tell that person it was real or not? Will that person, when they sell it on to the next person, tell them whether it's real or not? Did they even know? Dick, 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 dick. Dick move all the way through, dude. It's a dick move. And there's no way you can spin that. And that's a real statement from somebody. Somebody actually wrote that in a blog talking about that. That's a real dick move. I was reading, I was like, man, what a dick. And some people are they're proud of it. I never understood, cats who could just, I'm sure somebody like that. It's like, how can this guy just be, super proud in his dickdom? How? How? Just wave it from the rooftop. And so, you know, there we are. And it gets and getting back to getting back to the fake restoration videos, again, it's a kind of intellectual theft because you are putting something out there that some kid or somebody inexperienced is going to try to replicate again, and they are not going to have success with it because it's based on falsehoods. And there's so much of this on YouTube. These are two examples of falsehoods on YouTube: the fake restoration video and anybody who's doing a demo of chips. They are one and the same. It's deception, and one is deceiving themselves, the buyer of the chips, and the other one is deceiving others, the fake restoration video guys. And so, something to think about. Something to think about. I can't be nice about it, guys. I I I think about Mike again over at China Guitar Skeptic, and how he spent his energy and time into exposing how bad it is. And this was a decade ago that he was talking about the infiltration of Chipsons in the Australian market. Can you imagine how it is now? And and it's unfair to everybody else. You're not gonna Steven! The brother, you better late than never. I always say I welcome you, sir. Even at the end tonight, you're here. I welcome you. Just wrapping it up, talking about tonight's subject and how they're in a way related. So, in the case of any instrument, we caveat emptor, buyer beware. Uh, you have Reddit, you've got My Les Paul, you've got the gear page, you've got the dedicated Yamaha forum, the Yamaha dedicated Greco forum. You've got forums that you can go to, dedicated Gibson forums that you can go to, and you can say, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this. Could you look at this?" So we're a little bit better off, technology wise, to catch the floaters out there in the secondary market, the true shit that's out there in the secondary market. Um, but there are a lot of cats who are, it still slips through. But again, in as far as doing restoration work or trying to do those things, again, that comes back to doing your homework. If you did your homework and you look at other people's restoration videos, then you yourself will know what's real and what's fake. We have to, as consumers, use our noggins a little bit more. We've got to be a little bit more perceptive. We got to be a little bit more open to challenging, even in shops, because they can be fooled, challenging everybody and educating ourselves. And that way, the BS restoration videos and the chips and promoters can suck eggs because they're not going to fool us. We're not going to take it. Come on. Sorry, a little twisted sister there. Um, you know, uh, education of whatever your hobby, whatever your vocation is. This is my vocation, so therefore I have to educate myself on it. But even if you're a hobbyist or enthusiast, it really does behoove you to be aware of this stuff and to make it impossible for these dicks to not move this stuff into the market. And quite honestly, if more of us took a little less laissez-faire attitude towards the chips and promoters on YouTube, us in our little market, our little clique of YouTubers who enjoy this particular segment of life, music and music instruments, if we all took the banner and torch up of Mike uh, and call this stuff out when we see it down in the comment section and through our own channels and videos, I think we can still stem the tide of this. Uh, I, I things are so bad in China weather-wise right now, guys. Uh, I don't know if you've seen it, if you've been keeping abreast on it, but in the south, it's completely flooded. In the north, it's completely drought. And by I say floods, I've never seen tornado. I saw the most horrific video of a tornado cutting through a Chinese city, and it was a full-on, Cat 5 tornado. Most horrific thing I've ever seen. So I'll be frank with you. I don't know how many Chipsons and things are going to be coming out of China anyway. And on a geopolitical level, the kind of restrictions that can be made on exports out of China may certainly be limiting those as well, and certainly drawing a lot more scrutiny to imports in from China, depending upon your geographical location. Thus, another reason why you might want to think twice about the chips in, because they might be checking out stuff in China a little bit closer. As a matter of fact, we know they are because they're pissed off about Temu and they're doing legislation. Temu now they don't come in the bright orange bags they used to come to. You know, when I bought my Temu stuff, it came in a bright orange Temu bag. They don't use that anymore because they don't want to let people know that's them, because it was showing how much crap they were sending in. It ended up being something like 30% of the volume of mail here in the Netherlands alone. I think there are legislators out there who would like to look into that a little bit deeper. And I think that there will be a slowdown in that. However, in the process of that, you don't want to be one of the guys that they're looking at your package a little bit closer. So just stay away from them. There's nothing value, there's nothing to be had. And quite frankly speaking, you can for a little bit of money, you can, if you want to have a Les Paul copy, then go for this. You're not going to get better than this anyway. And for the money, you're not going to go wrong. You're just not going to go wrong. And if you buy a Chipson instead of something like this, quite frankly, like I said, it's just because you're too cheap to buy a real Gibson. You're not even really fooling yourself. Yeah, you can play it and jam it and rock it and all that, but even if your buddies don't know, you know. And I'm not that kind of guy. It would bother me. I'd be like, man, this just doesn't feel right. It wouldn't rock with me. But hey, a lot of us are built different. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But no, there's just too many awesome options out there on the market for you to be messing around with Chipsons. And there are just a laundry list of reasons why you really shouldn't be messing with those. So there's that, gang. I tried to play again. I tried tonight to play devil's advocate in this discussion. Couldn't quite make it through. I wrote a lovely script with the most positive flow of thoughts to try to come to a positive conclusion, and I just couldn't make it. I couldn't make it because I honestly. This one is from Mike tonight. He was a lot nicer guy than I don't think I ever heard him curse. So I threw a few bombs out there tonight, but it's all in good spirit. I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this live stream tonight and listen to this subject. Um, I was going to do a video on how cheap is the cheapest noise gate that I could recommend. I had a noise gate that I bought, interestingly enough, off AliExpress, came in, tried it out, and I think I told you guys it was a one knob number. But once the knob got to noon, all the sound cut off. It was everything from noon on was useless, and everything before noon was useless. And I think I paid $20 for that noise gate. And I said, my gosh, I think I finally found the cutoff point for how cheap you can go for a noise gate. So I sent that back. I was going to do a video on that, just point it out, but I said no. I didn't even want to look at it. I didn't even want to. I didn't want to see you no more. Get out. So I sent it back, but that was funny. But there are um, some things that are coming up here that I will film. Certainly, I do want to cover that Greco SE 700 Strat that I have. I will get around to that. I will have time this week to do that. I was super busy working last week. And when the good weather came, I just wanted to walk my dog. I always wanted a dog. And now that I got one, I'd like to spend a little bit of time with it in my old age. So I will make amends for that and film that this week and get that out so you can look forward to that. Yeah, you know, I I got my order in with my guy. We are solidifying that and making our payments to the people we are purchasing from. And I have two 70s Greco guitars, knock on wood, potentially on their way here for this month. So looking forward. Once I know that those are in the mail and on their way, I'll talk more about them. I talked about that super reel, and I feel as though I jinxed that deal by talking about it before I finished it. So we'll see if we can close this deal. Me and my guy tomorrow. I'll be up early to deal with Japan, and try to close a deal on that so that we have some cool stuff to come in. I think you guys are going to like these if I can knock it out. Especially the restoration guitar. Like I said, it needs restoration work, but Fur and I will do that because I was inspired by Brad, the guitarist. He took a guitar to a guitar show. If you go to his channel and take a look at the video where he went to a guitar show, and he took a guitar there, a Les Paul, I believe a 2021, 2022 Les Paul Standard. He took in as a trade, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing, doing a restore on this Greco and taking it to Zinendal on the 21st and seeing if I could trade it in. Not sell it. This one would be a trade in and filming that. The process of me going to the trade show, the guitar trade show, and trying to trade a guitar in for something. Um, something, you know, something. So that is the plan with that one. That I do have. I did buy that one, so that one for sure is coming. The other one I'll keep to myself until I know the deal is done. But they're both 77 and 78 Grecos. I'll tell you the years. So definitely what was that transitional vintage guitars. Yeah, I'm really getting into these 70s Japanese guitars. Uh some of them I'm going to keep. I'm going to hold on to for a while because I feel I hate that term I feel. But in this case it's okay to use. I usually like to say I think, I know, or I don't know. But in this case I'll allow it. I feel that there is a possibility, certainly as they stand in good condition, the Japanese transitional vintage guitars are holding their value. I think that going forward, not only will they hold their value, but as they transition from transitional vintage into true vintage guitars in the next 5 years, you will 5 6 years, you will see a steady hold on their value. It's a good place to park some money to keep, not a lot, but it's a good place to park some money in an instrument that you enjoy playing at the same time, as long as you don't, drag it and throw it in the back of your truck, you'll be all right. That I believe going forward will be a. It's not. I'm not saying that you're going to get 59 Les Paul money for it, but it will hold its value. They will hold their value. Condition is everything. So I'm scouting out there for the best condition 70s Japanese guitars of a certain level. It's got to be in the 700 level or above. We talked about that. But I throw that out there to finish tonight as a thought that you might consider yourself. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my rants tonight about BS restoration videos and Chibsons. being better than Yamaha's. I think I've covered those 2 points very well. And I want to thank you so much for listening to me cover those 2 points. Again, I will be back here for the Wednesday night hump. We'll have a little bit of footage with that Greco hopefully coming up this week. And until the next one, guys, I want to thank you so much, Maddie, Ben, Denro, my cruise hall, Don Juan's here, Sunbase is here, Rick Nelson in the house, James in the house, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Watson, and anybody else I missed. Thank you guys and ladies. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching tonight and watching in the rerun. I want to hear your comments down in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. It helps with the YouTube algorithms. If you're hearing me for the first time and you like what you heard tonight, got a lot more coming up here. Hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications of new stuff. A lot of cool stuff coming up here. A lot of cool stuff coming up here. Stuff I guarantee you will not see anywhere else on YouTube. Look forward to that, guys. I will talk to you soon, and I wish you a happy week. Bye bye.